Welcome, everyone. We'll go ahead and give it a moment here before we get started. Give everyone an opportunity to join before we take it away. So we do have the chat feature over on the right-hand side of your screen. If you'd like to drop in a hello and where you're joining us from, that'd be lovely. Or just give us a moment here and we'll take it away in a moment. All right, I can go ahead and get started here. Give everyone a few moments here to join on in, but that way we can just get things moving along, as I know everyone has busy days here and we want to make sure we value your time and we thank you for joining us. So thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Agents of Excellence, Power Up Your Marketing Media. My name is Carissa J, and I am part of our customer success team here at Telonis, and today I'm your host. So give a warm welcome to our team of presenters and speakers, and welcome everyone joining from wherever you are joining us from. Before we really jump on in, we want to give a few housekeeping tips just to make sure you're getting the most out of the experience. Like I said, that chat feature is going to be over on the right-hand side of your screen, so please make sure to utilize that. We love having people drop any questions. I know we had questions come in before today, but if you have any additional questions, please put those there, and we will answer as many questions as possible during our Q&A. We do encourage you to participate in all of our polls. That way we can better understand your backgrounds and your business needs. And make sure, most important piece, stay to the end, because we want to make sure you get access to our newly written ebook on the top 10 KPIs for evaluating contact center outsourcing partners. All right, time to really jump on in. Today we have three incredible speakers, and we will be covering a brief introduction on Telonis Solutions, identifying the right media partner for your marketing campaign, how to outsource call center supports with marketing media campaigns, and successful training and QA. And of course, we will finish up with Q&A today. So it is time for our first poll. Let's go ahead and get this on up. I would love to know what industry you're joining us from today. I know we have a lot of people that signed up from different industries, so I'd love to see where everyone is joining us from. I see we have quite a few people here joining us from the B2C market, all over the place. We have a full board here. We really look forward to thinking you guys are going to pull out some great information, and we'll have some great resources for you today. So a little bit about Telonis. Telonis Solutions is a managed IT service provider. And while IT is what we do, we like to think we focus on the human connection first. We understand that technology is ever changing, and that is why having a partner to navigate the changes can make all the difference for you and the customer base that you serve. So from consulting to implementation and customizations to call center solutions, we are the partner that can help you grow your business and maintain that customer loyalty. Now, we are based out of South Florida, but we have customers and remote team members worldwide, meaning that we can work around the time you need in the languages that you need. And now we have three incredible speakers today. We have Nick Pepinto, who is the president and CEO of Double Diamond VIP. We have Thomas Riley, who works with us here at Telonis Solutions and is the founder of the Smarter Call Center. And we have Yannick Silva, who's a project manager with us at Smarter Call Center and Telonis. So I'm going to take it away, let Nick take it from here, and he will dive in more with you. So take it away, Nick.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to mention that Double Diamond is a media management company. We exist to help D2C brands to scale their business. So today we're going to talk about, first of all, can we move along from, sorry guys, there you go. Today we're going to talk about how do we maximize the efficiencies of a potential campaign when we onboard a new client. So how do we boost the performance? Basically, when we onboard, we cover three aspects, right? We audit their marketing mix, which is basically analyzing what marketing channels are they currently covering, right? And then what are they missing, or what do they need help with? Then we're going to analyze their media agencies. They might have one, they have multiple agencies at the same time. And then we're going to, of course, select the call center that is proper to the this specific campaign. So let's start with the first one, the marketing mix. So the marketing channels, many direct-to-consumer companies, they start with digital channels, right? So they start with purely digital, Instagram, Facebook, and that's perfectly good, right? To a certain degree, right? The ideal component is they're going to hit a wall at a certain point of their spend, not only on quantity, on volume, but also on quality, right? On cost per lead. So the ideal thing that we look for is for the campaign to become omni-channel, right? So to have multiple different marketing channels. Of course, digital is a part of the component, but you're going to have TV as a part of their mix, radio potentially as well, et cetera, et cetera. So there are multiple channels. So that's the first thing that we always look for. The second is not every agency. So in the selection of the agency, we look for which agencies do they need when they need a new channel. So if they are looking for a radio channel, an agency that's an expert on TV doesn't apply, right? So I like to say that the secret of discovering the best agency is to discover their uniqueness or their superpower. So keep that in mind. Last but not least, very important, of course, direct-to-consumer campaigns, they need to answer calls, right? Their call to actions in any of the video components, for example, it could be social media, it could be TV, etc., or it could be a radio, right? The CTA, the call to action, will be either going somewhere on the web or mentioning an 800 number. There could be, in these days, scanning a QR code that also acts in any of these other ways. But mainly here today, we're going to be talking about this third component. How do we select a call center, right? Because they are going to see something in any of these media components, and they're going to be calling. And while they call, this is going to be an inbound call. We're going to be talking about how that works. So how do we select that last component? The best call center, right? Is a best call center here in the US, for example? Is it outsourced? Is it nearshore? Is it so? All those kind of things are going to be a part of it. But to understand the process of selecting a call center, first we need to understand. I'll break it down in two parts. First, we need to understand. Let me change the slide. Sorry. We understand the different type of calls that you are going to get. So your product is unique, your vertical is unique, right? So you're going to have a specific offer different than the other campaign or the others campaign that call center that is going to be taking the call. So your offer, that is going to determine a part of the pairing with a call center. The price, of course, a component of the offer, but the offer itself could be a soft offer, right? Maybe I'm not mentioning on my TV commercial or on my digital media, I'm not mentioning at all the price. That's right, or I'm teasing with the price. Or I'm mentioning this is a trial. So if it's a soft offer or a hard offer, it's going to change because not every call center is an expert on soft or hard offers. Same thing applies with continuities, right? If you have a recurrent billing that is going to come, a supplement company, for example, that then you're going to every 3 months going to get a 3-month supply of that supplement, for example, right? There are call centers with more expertise in subscription base. Some call centers, not so much. Same thing applies with the price ranges. Average order value, if it's $20 or $100 or hundreds or thousands of dollars, like a Peloton, for example, bike, right? Well, there's call centers that are more comfortable with a lower AOV, some others comfortable with a higher AOV, right? And as the AOV grows, right, you're going to be having more or less upsells as well. So some call centers are experts on upselling or not at all. Maybe they are order takers. So keep all these things in mind. And then little details like, for example, payment methods, pre-qualifications, if you need a license, your product need a license, financial license, legal license. So we might need to do a two-step where we first pre-qualify you, and then we send you to a call center that doesn't require a license, right? Or a technical sale will the same thing will apply. So what we are doing here is we are understanding the different type of calls, offers, how your product is, right? And what it's all about. And then after doing that, I'm gonna understand a little more about the call center in the other side. Like, what am I looking on the call center? Where there's all kinds of call centers, and I can sort them by their size, right? You have 100 agents, you have 1,000 agents. There are call centers with tens of thousands of agents, right? And the bigger you are, the more difficult to train in your product if the expertise on your product is high, right? A financial product or legal product, I mentioned those, right? But then there's others that you don't need to be an expert of the product itself. So the bigger the size of the call center, more difficult the training might be, or the more technical the sell it is. Other things like languages to be covered, right? If you need your calls to be answered in Spanish, in French, beyond the English, right? In other multiple languages, then not every call center can offer that. You can, of course, create layers, call center 1, 2, 3 via a routing platform. The communication, so that's on the structure of the call center, how the structure is set. But there's other things on the quality of the call center itself. How do I engage me as a consulting firm that sits in the middle of the marketer and the call center and the campaign itself, right? So I tend to select call centers that are good and fluent in communicating quickly, being proactive in solving problems, right? Setting up in good timing, not taking too many delays, being with a win-to-win mentality. That's always great to see a call center is engaged, quick, right? And it's looking for a solution that fixes their side, but also the customer side, right? So that's a good mentality. Of course, analytics has to be a part of this mix. Every marketer these days has to have great data on their fingertips to ensure success. We do provide our own analytics, but the call center is to be engaged in providing their own set of analytics as well. So all these factors, right, are things that we are looking when we qualify a call center, and then we group them. And when we look at the offer that we're going to get and the calls that we're going to get, we just do the pairing. So we're going to do like a matching. Sorry, I went one too many. So how do we find the best match? Where we find the type of call that we currently have and the offer with the best type of call center that will feed that need, right? That pairing is a part of what's going to ensure the success of your campaign. So keep all these things in mind. At the end of the day, the conclusion is we all want a good conversion, a call center that kills it in the numbers, right? But you need to keep in mind that not everybody will excel, right? Eventually, if you train enough, you can get close to that action. So that's one of the reasons that we would like to introduce you to Solanis. Solanis is not only a great call center, but also a partner that we use with our clients. So I'll pass it to Tom, and he's gonna explain you a little more about Solanis. Thank you very much. Tom, take it away.
Thank you, Nick. I'm going to talk a little bit about how the outsourced call center can support the marketing media campaigns. As you know, in a typical call center, call volumes fluctuate throughout the day. They're not even. They're not static. And staffing is designed to create coverage, minimizing abandoned calls while maximizing the agent utilization. However, since it's not an exact science, gaps in coverage will occur, leading to either the unanswered or abandoned calls when the call volume increases above the amount of coverage you have. Or conversely, there will be times when the excess staff results in idle agents and wasted resources, and that's going to add some cost and reduce the profitability of your campaign. Now, that's a typical call center and then a typical campaign, but in these challenges become even more pronounced in a media-driven campaign. For example, here we're looking at what call volumes could look like during a campaign that's running TV or radio ads. Very sharp spikes, very deep troughs of calls. You know, the ad runs, people call in, the ad stops running, people don't call in. So these call volume changes become even more dramatic, and the cost of the missed calls and the idle agents increases. Now, while this is especially true with TV and radio ads, print, mailers, and catalogs tend to see these call volume fluctuations, not necessarily over the hours, but over days. So the same kind of issue, but a little less spiky, a little longer duration in the spikes. When a new mailer goes out, the calls spike. When a new catalog comes out, everyone's running to buy your greatest product that you just sent out. And then there's digital media. Digital media has its own challenges. It's a 7x24 campaign. It runs all the time. And you need to be there to staff it. Digital media respondents generally have a less of a tolerance for waiting around. So it's very important to be staffed and handling those inquiries as they come in. And they most likely will not be phone calls. They would be over the social media that the product went through. So how do we solve this problem? How do we get rid of the spikes and troughs and the costs that are there? One approach is that you can staff to meet the peak demand, absorbing the cost of the idle agents during the slower periods. This tends to be very costly and not very effective. Alternatively, you can partner with an outsource center like Smarter Call Center, who offers dedicated and on-demand services. To give you an idea of what this would mean to a typical client, we have a client who sells their product through media campaigns. We handle over $10 million in sales for them a year. They used to staff full-time agents with an abandon rate of 4 to 5% and a cost of just over $6 a call. That's, if you take all the calls divided by what their total cost was, they were running over $6 a call. Now we put this model in place. We staff between 8 and 10 full-time agents during the week. Let the rest of their calls to roll over to our on-demand agents. And under this model, they now see an abandon rate around 1%, sometimes under, and an average cost per call of about $3.49. So significant cost savings and a lower abandon rate. So how does that work? We staff dedicated agents to handle what would be your steady call volumes, the volumes that are coming in that you're going to have, and then we supplement this with on-demand agents during the call spikes. And these on-demand agents, since we cover more than just inbound sales calls, we also do inbound customer service, back office work, chat, SMS campaigns, social media respondents. Because of that, we have the flexibility of being able to utilize these agents and keep them occupied with multiple campaigns, which have varying call cycles. And that, since we're efficiently utilizing the campaigns during their downtime, this translates to a benefit for you, and then you're only paying for the agents you use and the amount and then the time that they're actually working for you. Our proven process of hiring has been an advantage for several of our clients. For example, we had one new client that we had to handle a product recall of over 1 million eligible customers. They didn't know how they were going to handle it. We came in, we staffed up 25 agents and got them on the phones in less than a week. Granted, that's a product recall is a fairly simple campaign, but the agent successfully handled the product recall. We went through with a good, solid answer rate and ends up that the client gave us additional work, and they're now a long-term client that we've had for a number of years. But just having people to answer your calls and bodies in seats is not all you need. It's not enough. You need agents who can sell the product, follow the process, navigate the systems efficiently. Ineffective agents are going to mean annoyed customers, reduce sales, and longer calls, meaning more time you're paying. That's why we look at all the aspects of the agent's performance. And I'm going to turn it over to Yannick, who's now going to talk about how the training and quality assurance, how we look at that to make that more effective. So you get the whole thing, agents in seats, and the quality of those agents. Go ahead, Yannick.
Thank you so much, Tom. So as mentioned already, I am the project manager. So I'm basically in charge of training the agents and of the quality assurance. So I'm just making sure everything flows smoothly in a call, making sure the agents have every tool they need to be successful. Extremely important, especially when onboarding a new campaign. I'm going to talk about, as a trainer, what are some of the key aspects I always need to consider when training agents. Either we're continuously training them on a regular basis, or we're onboarding a new client, which means agents have a lot to learn. The first aspect I always like to consider is understanding the client's culture. It's very important that I, as their trainer, I am the first one to understand who is the client, but not only who they are and what service they provide, which of course is already pretty important, but I also have to consider what is the history of the client, their goals, what are they trying to accomplish, what is their reputation and the image they want to uphold. Once I understand that uh, very well, I can transmit that message over to the agents. For example, if we're selling a product, what is that client's return policy, or what exactly are they trying to change in people's lives with that product? What is their outcome that they desire to achieve? So that would be the case when we're selling a product. However, if we're dealing with more of a customer service-based campaign where we're offering a service to the customer, troubleshooting something, fixing something, it would basically be what is the client's reputation and what message do they want to transmit to our customers. So at the end of the day, it's very important for me for our agents to get that message first. Um, Something such as the location, where is the client's base, that will be extremely important in understanding the cultural aspects that comes with that. If we're dealing with a French Canadian market, we will need different agents on that than if we're dealing with an American market. So we really want to place the agents where they're more successful, but again, we really want to give them the tools to succeed. And to me, before even training anybody on a product, on the specificity, the specifics of a product, all the mechanics and everything, I need the agent to understand the client and feel like they're part of the client. Because at the end of the day, if they're taking calls for a campaign, they will be representing that client. So it's important that the client knows that our agents feel part of their company ultimately. Next, another aspect that I consider, of course, is the product. The agent needs to know the product and the customer needs. So, understanding the product, we could spend all day speaking about the specificities of the product, how much it costs, if we're selling something that's physical, what is the material, what is the technology. That's all very important. And of course, agents need to know all of it. But to me, what's really important is that first our agents learn to put themselves in the customer's shoes, because they will be answering calls and there will be another human being on the other end of that call. And that person has a need. And what's that need? They all have different needs, but we could respond to their needs if we first know what they are. So to accomplish that, in my opinion, there's various ways to accomplish that. But something that I am a huge fan of is giving the agent a script they could use. So moving on to the next point would be script utilization. A script is a very valuable tool. Sometimes we have campaigns that have a longer script. Mostly when it's a sales campaign, you need a longer script. And when it's a customer service based campaign, so what I mean by that is you're not really trying to sell something to the customer, you're trying to fix their issue, whatever issue that is. The script may be shorter. However, we use scripting for most of our campaigns because that script tells the agent a few things. It tells them this is what we want you to say to our customers because the customers need to hear all of this, and this is the structure that you need to follow. So just to provide an example, in our sales calls, we always have the agent first do some probing questions. And to me, probing questions are basically the base of discovering your customers. And most customers are receptive to those probing questions because we're generally trying to find out their needs. A good example, we've all went to a store to buy something, let's say a computer. And if you want to buy a computer, if you're dealing with somebody who's genuinely wanting to sell you the best product for you, their first question is most likely going to be something like, what are you planning on using that computer for? And it's the same principle we use in our calls, whether we're trying to sell a service or a product. We first need to know what that customer wants and then respond to that need using all of our tools, all of our knowledge. And a good exercise I like to do with my agents as well is have them put themselves in the customer's shoes first. So you're a customer and you want our service or the service we're selling, and list to me all the reasons why you would yourself buy this product. And we find something very interesting is that if we're dealing with 10 different people, they all have 10 different reasons why they would buy a product. And then we can put all those products into one big list. And then the agents understand, wow, okay, so I will have a wide variety of people calling me and they all have different needs. So I need to be ready to respond to all those needs. So again, of course, our agents need to be proficient in knowing all the specifics of a product, but they also need to know what the customers are calling for and understand how to respond to that. So extremely important. So these are some of the key aspects that I, as a trainer, look for when I'm training agents. And then when it comes to quality assurance, being in charge of quality assurance, we face some challenges, but it's important to keep these things in mind. You need a solid team. So the first thing we need to do is build a team. And when you build a team, you need to choose agents that are already very efficient on a specific campaign because those agents know what it takes to excel. So they first need to be good on a campaign. And once we know that we can trust them, they can listen to calls and they can find exactly what other agents need to be better. So we always have very performing agents that are willing to help. And the message I want to transmit to my QA team is the following. Your focus is not disciplining agents. You will listen to calls, and yes, you will hear a call where maybe the agent did something that you think could be better. But you have to be very careful not to think that your job is there to discipline them. Your focus should be providing them coaching notes so those coaching notes can improve their performance. Anything that's related to discipline, we can leave that to the operations team and then they can take action if needed. QA teams should strictly be focused on auditing the calls, making sure the agents has. We have various parameters such as tone of voice, scripting, knowledge of the campaign, greeting. Just something as simple as how you greet the customer on the phone will make a huge difference in the call. How fast you greet them. We always tell agents you have to sound like you're smiling on the phone, right? So these all make a big difference. Now, to me, coaching and training the agent and quality assurance, they work hand in hand. Um, I rely heavily on quality assurance to know what is missing, what my team is missing, and what I need to coach them on. So coaching the agents could be we take all the agents and we put them into a training and we give them the training and we make sure the message gets across to everybody. That has its own challenges, but in my opinion, coaching the agent one-on-one is an essential part of quality assurance. So when it comes to coaching the agent, it can be quite challenging because we're dealing with different individuals, right? Some agents will just accept your QA score and will just say, okay, I'll do better. Okay, that's great. But what do we do when an agent disagrees with your QA? What do we do if they say, I don't agree with that? I think I did it right. And they simply disagree. It's important to meet one-on-one with that agent and make sure they understand what we expect from them and also listen to them, right? Because they may have their own reasoning behind uh, what they did or why they thought it was right. Sometimes we need to listen to the call with them and then provide some constructive criticism. If everything goes well, the agent will agree and they will feel like they're being supported, and they will start to see quality assurance as something positive, which is extremely important in my opinion. Because again, if our agents are not seeing our quality assurance as something positive, or at least as something that is helping them, then they won't be receptive to training. So that's why I think it goes hand in hand. And lastly, positive reinforcement. I'm very big on that. I am the first one to tell my QA team, okay, yes, you will listen to calls. Yes, you need to find what the agent could improve on. But when you do that, also consider what they did right in a call, right? Because it's almost impossible to listen to a call and everything's wrong with that call, right? So if the agent did something right in that call, point that out first. Hey, you have a great tone of voice, you sound very professional. However, that question that the customer asked to you, your answer wasn't quite right. So maybe there's something you didn't get about the training. Let's get together, let me show you, let me answer all your questions, and then you just need to fix that, and then it'll be perfect. So that would be a good way to give the agent their coaching score. Now, if we hop on a call and I start pointing out the stuff they did wrong right away, then they will feel like they're being we're not being fair to them. And if you do that over a long period of time, that's where in my opinion, that's where you start dealing with agents attrition. They feel like they're not being valued. They feel like if they go up to their QA manager and they ask a question, they feel like they will just get in trouble. And we absolutely don't want that for our agents. So that's why, in my opinion, the QA should be something positive for the agents, and overall, it will lead to something positive for the whole company. So I'm going to pass it over back to Carissa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yannick, Tom, and Nick, for sharing some of your best industry tips. I hope everyone got something amazing out of this. And now we will go ahead and we'll dive into Q&A. So again, we had a few questions come in before today's session. If there are any other questions, please feel free to put those in the chat. But I have the first question today is for Nick. So does social media play an important part in the media mix? And how can we leverage it more?
Of course, social media it's a key component. Actually, as a matter of fact, we always start a new campaign, a new brand, or most of the time. I never say always, but then most of the time, the easiest way to start a new campaign is with digital slash social media marketing, right? And it's super important to learn there before spend the big bucks in places like TV, right? And any other place on the marketing mix that is going to be a big representation of their quarterly dollar. So answer is yes, in short.
Thank you, Nick. I have a question here for Tom. How can we address volume spikes through a um, proactive approach?
So through a proactive approach, I mean, a lot of our spikes are addressed by predicting when there's going to be spikes. If there's a catalog drop, if there's uh, a media run being done, then we know that. But proactively, you need to have the resources there that can be moved over to handle these spikes, because some of these spikes happen without knowing. They're unpredictable. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if something's going to go wrong with a system or a ordering, and we're going to get a lot of calls, or uh, you know we've had campaigns run on TV at the wrong time, and you have to be able to answer those calls. So we can address those by having the resources available, and that's why our model works, having resources that are on not non-time dependent campaigns that could be moved over and help out in the times that we need to be proactive.
No, that's great. Thank you so much, Tom, for that. I have a question for Yannick. What are some best staff communication practices in a virtual center environment? That's amazing. I think we can apply that to many virtual businesses as well.
Yes. So first thing, in my opinion, that companies should do when they're looking to maybe move their business over to virtual or have a virtual staffing, have some virtual staffing, is consider the platform that works best for them. There's so many of them. We choose to use Slack, and the first thing I tell anybody who joins our company is staff. Slack is our office. So if you're working and you're not answering Slack or you're not checking your messages on Slack, you're basically not at the office. So you can use any tools you want, but I think what's important is the culture you create on that tool. Because if you don't hold agents accountable, if they don't keep track of the updates you sent, if they don't keep track of your messages, if they don't respond relatively in a proper manner, if you don't do that, then it will be inefficient. So to be efficient, you really have to make sure that your agents know that they can go on Slack, they can go on whatever tool you're using, and they have channels that can get help. They can get help if they have a question. They can really reach out to somebody. So creating a culture, whatever tool you're using, just create a culture where you know that your agents can go on there or anybody in your company and reach out whenever they need or whatever they need. They know who to reach out for. So a mix of channels, private messaging, and yep, that would pretty much be that.
Great. Thank you so much. Actually, I have another one here for you, Yannick. Why are there such high attrition rates in contact centers?
So I did touch base a little bit on that when I was talking about QA. In my opinion, the attrition rate it's something a little complex because we're dealing with human beings, right? We're dealing with people, so they all have personal stuff going on in their lives. But if you have a company, especially a call center, that's dealing with a high attrition rate, there may be something wrong with the way agents are feeling as to their work. A good way to make the agents feel that their work is valuable, in my opinion, is just having a strong QA team that is constantly in communication with them. When you stop communicating with your agents and they start, not talking to you and just doing their own thing, that's where I think something can go wrong. So if you are sending them messages weekly, hey, here's your QA score, great job on that, giving them commendations, telling them, hey, if you need anything, remember I'm here. If you want to talk about anything, if you just want to talk about your QA score or anything is going on, just let me know. Hey, I noticed, your tone of voice changed a little bit lately. Is there anything we can help you with? All those things make the agents feel like, okay, I'm actually first, somebody's actually listening to my work, so I will be held accountable if I don't do things right, but mostly it lets them know that somebody's caring. So I think it starts from top to bottom. And if the agent feels like the top doesn't care about them, even though it's not true, but if they feel that way, it may lead to higher attrition.
Thank you so much, Yannick. Now, Tom, I have one for you, and I'm kind of going to roll two questions into one. How can generative AI help in technical troubleshooting? And we also have a great question here in the chat asking if we do support troubleshooting for agents that we provide for any IT companies or flexible API integrations with other systems.
So, two things. One, we do technical support. We do technical support in for two different large clients. Obviously in that case, the training, the QA is a lot more intense than your typical. But mostly training is more intense than your typical training. But let me talk about the use of AI. And let me start by saying that all of us, and especially me, have enjoyed those conversations with what are supposed to be AI answering the phone and some automated system asking you questions over and over, which usually end up with me anyway screaming, "Get me a representative." But that's not where we see AI as being the answer right now. Maybe 5 years from now, but right now it's not. Where AI is going to help the agents is it's going to help the agents to do their job. So an agent's on the phone with the with a customer. The customer has a problem. The agent can use their AI tools that we have in place to query and to find out about the issue. It will the AI system will has the learning capability. They go through all the good calls, the correct answers, and it comes up with an answer. Now it's the agent's responsibility to take that and translate it into the words that the customer can handle, and that's going to vary by customer, and that's where you need the human touch of helping out with the QA, with the AI, to make the AI relatable to the customer.
No, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Tom. And one last question here for Nick is how to elevate the best locations for outsourcing contact center services.
So location will depend on a few factors, right? If you want to outsource your team, maybe you have an in-house team and you want to outsource, right? Keep in mind, outsourcing means first location, right? Are you going to go US? Are you going to go local within the US? Is there an accent you are trying to match, mimic culture that you're trying to mimic? It's not the same to outsource to India as it is Mexico. Two very, very different things, right? Near shore, Mexico, you might get sometimes a American that left or was educated here. So accent could be similar culture. Sometimes it doesn't, but it really depends on your product, on your goals, right? And that's going to depend a lot on the search. I was mentioning a few of the factors out there. The location will tie to all these elements that we were looking on a call center and to match with a product or vertical as well.
Thank you so much, Nick, for that. Really appreciate it. Isaac, I just wanted to make sure we address your question before we move on. Do we have any other questions? Frank, oh, I see we have here something on great solution for technical support clients. We can go ahead and get some content out to you for that question. And Isaac, I'm so glad we were able to answer that. If you guys have any other questions, please feel free to shoot an email. We'd be happy to address those for you if we didn't get to it, okay? All right, and lastly, exciting, everyone stayed through to the end to get our top 10 KPI ebook here. I want to thank you all so much for joining us today. Thank you so much, Nick, Tom, and Yannick for speaking here today. Make sure to follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook to stay up with the latest dates. We hope you guys gained some invaluable insights today, and we truly look forward to having you join us at our next webinar or shooting us an email. So thank you guys so much, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and it looks like we all will get back some time. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.